Alright guys, so I just got back from picking up some groceries and doing my job interview. My job interview went extremely well. I am very impressed with this place, and I already said that I would be talking about the Broadmoor a little bit more. I worked for the Broadmoor, I had to keep going to HR, so it was probably really only a month and a half, although I was hired for close to 2 months. Unbelievable. Like I said, the first thing that happened was I had a mean girl experience. Like my second day, pretty rude people. I had this waitress wait on me when I was there just to eat there one day. I thought her waitressing skills stunk, and sure enough, when I started working there, I realized what her mentality was, and just awful mentality for waitressing. So I had a mean girl experience, and then I had a situation where they weren't really training people, which was unbelievable to me. I mean, just basic common sense. So I spoke up, and I think that was one of the reasons why they wanted to fire me and get me out of there, because I spoke my mind. And I was nice about it. I just said, hey, any restaurant you work at, they will give you about 5 days training without question. 5 days, because what you're looking at is you're looking at kitchen safety, you're looking at chemicals, you're looking at menu, which takes a few days to usually get down. That's with a simple restaurant. That's not with a high-class restaurant with wanting you to know every single ingredient in the menu. Let me see, you've got seat numbers, you've got, just the operation of the whole place, on and on it goes. So, you need a good 3 to 5 days, and then usually there's a mock test, there's tasting of food, there's tasting of wines, everything you need to succeed. So this place that I've gone to is we give you the tools that you need to succeed. The way I look at waitressing, and I learned this at the 99, was one of the older men who interviewed me said, look, we give you the tables and it's your call to make the money. And that's kind of how I look at waitressing. And it's all in how you do it. It's all in, what you want out of it. So another issue I had on top of the training with the Broadmoor, because they had given me 2 days to follow a waitress, and then I was on my own because they didn't have enough help. So I was on my own. So I jumped in and I did a good job. I had, tips ranging from $50 to, $47 to $20. I did a really good job. People were like, you're doing such a good job. When I told them I was new, they're like, you're going to succeed. You're an awesome waitress. And I have always been told I am one of the top waitresses. So here I am with tons of experience going into this place. But now I'm different now because I have so much experience. I'm very cautious now where I work, because you want to be on the same page. And I learned this at an Italian restaurant. There was an Italian restaurant in Manchester I worked at, and the guy was from Italy, and he was good. He knew his stuff. And he said to me, if you know your stuff, no one's going to give you crap. And that stuck with me. And it's because he had a situation where he came to America. Someone fired him because he got the dressing wrong, and that was so hurtful to him that he still held on to that for years, and he learned from it. He's like, you better know it good, you better know it well. And he just, no one gave him a second chance when he came to America. And so it's different now, but I mean, that's pretty picky over a dressing. So he used that to motivate him to be the best of the best, and I mean, he's really good. So working for him, he was very particular about how he wanted every little thing done right, fine dining. So I learned a lot from this guy in a short period of time, and I really appreciated him. So here I am, pretty well equipped to work at the Broadmoor, and just common sense wasn't there. I was like, one of the managers is like, you're going to be retrained. And I'm like, why am I being retrained? Why am I being singled out when nobody here really knows the menu? So I'm like, what do you want me to do? Read the menu to the customers? I mean, so he used that. I think I was a help to them because he used it, and he said, guys, why, you don't read the menu to the customers, right? You should know it in your head. So he started, the manager, they were in transition, so I give them that grace, but they didn't have taste testing for food. They didn't have testing for wines. I still didn't get training on wines. No taste testing on that. They didn't have any testing on, what else? Just like no allergy testing. Like when I was at the 99, you had to have specific allergy testing. You had to have, I mean, the 99 gives you close to 5 days with alcohol training, how to card people. They didn't have any of that. They didn't even tell me they had a book of carding behind the bar until I asked. They didn't have, when I worked at Carrabba's, there was 5 days of testing there. I got hundreds on those tests, but they also had food testing. So you got to taste any food you wanted to help you learn. So I was just shocked again at the Broadmoor not having the common sense to really train people on seat numbers, foods. Their policies were not clear. You know, they had given me orientation one day, and then it was like weeks before I had the second day. And even then, one of the things they tried to fire me about was I had a big table, and they were ridiculous. I had a table, not the customers, the managers, that wanted to know the details of the food. So I said, hey, I need a wine master, wine professional over here. Just give them the wine menu from the manager. I said, no. They asked for a wine discussion with a wine professional, so you get over there to that table and you do it. I mean, I really put my foot down near the end because I had it with this management. So he went over there and he's like, oh, you know, you did an awful job because it took so long on this table. And then my boss, I said, how is this prepared? She's in front of the whole group. You don't know? No, I don't know. I'm new. And besides, it wasn't what's in it, it's how it's prepared, which I'm not a chef, so I would not know every little detail that goes into that dish. So they totally humiliated me, but I had the grace to say, well, I would like you to tell them. This manager in particular, she was awful. She was the rudest manager I've ever had. Just the worst experience I've ever had in working at over 30 restaurants. So this place I'm really happy with already. They're like, we don't do mandatory doubles unless you want them. Broadmoor, you had to work doubles. I mean, at one point I said, well, since you're not happy with me, put my schedule down to just lunches. Oh, we don't have that available. So they were really just trying to get rid of me because other people did. And then there was a religious accommodation they wouldn't honor. When I was hired, they were like, okay, just give us your schedule. I said, I have full availability except Sunday mornings. Well, then they changed that on me and said, you have to work Sundays. I said, I'm not working Sundays. And we debated a good half hour to 40 minutes in the office about, I had about three people gang up on me to compromise on that one. And I said, look, it ain't gonna happen. So then they started changing the vocabulary. Well, it would only be probably once or twice a year. And then they're like, oh, it would be when we need you. Oh, it would be, you know, so they're going back and forth. And I'm like, it better be really rare because, you know, Sunday morning is my day. And then it was harassment from the boss. She just really was harassing me. She's being rude to me. She's like, I'm like, where do you want these checks? Because she had moved the whole system. She's like, put it where it belongs. And she was just rude, like, no patience. She was saying things about me that were not true. She was accusing me, lying about me. I don't know what it was about me that she had a problem with. And the man who hired me, he was very nice to me. I really appreciated him. He was great, but he had moved on. So it was a whole different place once I started working there, it seems. And then, so this place, like I said, I am happy about. It's common sense. They're like, we give you plenty of training. And then if you still don't have it, we retrain you. We don't do like fine dining and just give you 4 tables. We give you as many as you can handle, which I'm used to taking on a whole room by myself, which is great, which means more money. They don't keep your tips. Broadmoor has had lawsuits with keeping people's tips. because they do the 20% charge on top of every single ticket, which, you know, you would think a table of 8 or 10 would have a 20% charge, but they do it on every single ticket. And then so the customers think, you know, geez, I just gave you a 20% tip, so I'm not going to, you know, tip you on top of that. Some of them do. Like I said, I got a $50 tip on top of it and some other tips. But their policy too, they told me to keep the tips, and then they went back on me and said, you know what, our policy says you can't keep the tips. I didn't even sign the policy, and they accused me of stealing tip money. On and on it went. And I was just like, look, you are going to hear from a lawyer, because I've had enough of this. You know, this is after they fired me for no good reason. And they're like, you know, just one thing after another. So this place is like, we don't pool the tips. You give 4% to each server. Not server, but runner, busser. Not even a runner all the time. They don't always need a runner, but a busser or a bartender. Broadmoor had managers taking money out of our tip money, supervisors, which they already make enough money. So I'm like, why are they doing that? So I looked up the laws about that, and that is actually theft. And they have been sued over taking tip money from us servers. So they're the real thieves. And you're supposed to let customers know too, with a poster or something, if the waitresses are not getting the money. You're supposed to let them know. So on and on. And you know, I already know Broadmoor covers themselves. I already heard they pay people off to cover themselves. They had people not getting breaks. I didn't get my 10 minutes after 4 hours. That I am going to pursue that with them. And see what can be done about that. I lost wages because they gave my wages away with supervisors. Also, there was a lady there who is a boss, and I really like her, Christian lady, but she gets every Sunday off without a problem. I was singled out where they didn't want me to have Sundays off. So, hold on. Bless me. So I also was in a meeting too, where the boss is like, I'm not very happy. And I'm like, he's like, I don't know about you, but are you happy? I'm like, I'm happy. You know, like, I don't know what your problem is, but he was trying to intimidate me to do, you know, to not stand up for my Sundays off. And I mean, he made it like, he put on a huge act about it. Then he lied about me. So just do not work at the Broadmoor. I already said that. So this place I'm already pretty content with. And when you're thinking about business and you're just thinking, how do they do things? Look at behind the scene. Look at how they operate so that you know that you're on the same page as them. Before, I used to be like, oh, a job's a job. No big deal. You know, you got a job, you got food on the table, who cares? But as I've gotten older, you get a little wiser, and you're like, oh, okay, so I see how you really are, and I see what you really are like and how you rip people off, some of these companies. Get on the same page, protect yourself, protect your, you know, your right to work, and just protect your reputation, basically. So that's what I'm doing. I will hear back from this job in a few days, and I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99.9% sure I have it. And he was really impressed with all my waitressing experience. All the restaurants, I didn't name them all, but I named a lot, and he was really impressed with that. So don't be afraid to, if you're in a dead-end job, like my husband just would not go get a good job, dead-end place he works at, don't be afraid to jump into another job if it doesn't work for you, and get the skills you need. So after I've worked at Broadmoor, that's going to look good on my resume. I didn't even need it today, but I will put that down. I won't put you know, certain people down, but I will put down that, and that's going to look good too for me working just about in any place in the world that I want to work at, because I did work there. So I picked up a lot of skills there though that were good, so I don't regret it. But be careful where you work, be particular, ask questions on your interview, find out what exactly they do, and make sure that you have, you know, a good, on the same page mindset with them.